Hey guys, it's Stacy here. Welcome to my channel, Life's a Project. So today I'm just gonna jump right into this project of seed starting in water bottles using the winter sowing method. So I've already did a kind of part one or a round one of this video back at the end of January, and you can check out that video where I started my seeds in water bottles, more of the hardier type of plants, things like my perennial flowers, also some kale for the veggie garden. Now this time I'm going to be starting more tender things like tomatoes and peppers and basil, my zinnias and sunflowers for my cut flower garden. So let's get into it. So if you are new to the winter sowing method, or maybe you've just never heard of it, it's pretty much seed starting in some type of plastic container that you can modify to act as a mini greenhouse to protect your seed and seedling, and it can grow in here with protection from the cold temperatures from the winter. And hopefully you'll get some good strong seedlings that you can transplant out into your garden when it's time in your area. So I saved up some of these 1.5 liter size water bottles. Now you can also use milk jugs, water jugs, 2 liter pop bottles. It just needs to be clear, a way for that sunlight to get to the seedling. You'll need some moist potting mix, the seeds you want to start, a utility knife or scissors to cut your bottles. You'll need duct tape because we will be closing these containers when we are finished before we place them outside. You'll need some type of plant tag or labeling system so you know what's growing in each bottle, and it's always a good idea to put the date on them as well so you know when you started them. So when you are preparing your bottles for planting, no matter what size it is, you're pretty much going to treat it the exact same way. You're going to start by cutting around the center portion, but you're not going to cut it all the way through. You want to leave a small portion of plastic in the back to act as a hinge to keep the top and the bottom together. And then you're going to poke drainage holes in the bottom, and you want several of those because these are going to be outside receiving moisture from the rain, or maybe you're still getting snow, and you want to make sure you don't flood your seedlings, so you want a lot of drainage holes in the bottom. So really quickly, I wanted to share with you the seeds I'll be starting. I have some sunflowers, dahlias, cresspedia drumstick flower, also a couple of zinnias. These are Envy, they're green. These are California Giants in that multicolor. A couple of these I have started last year. So I started these California Wonder bell peppers, banana peppers, zucchini, basil. They did great for me last year, growing them again. And then I picked up a couple of determinate tomato plants from the In My Gardener online store. You can see here, these are called Tiny Tim Tomato. They grow really small, and they are great for a container garden or even a hanging basket. Now the next one here, Geranium Kiss Tomato, also a determinate type of tomato. It doesn't grow as tall as your indeterminate variety of tomatoes, so really excited to give those a try. And then these two I grew last year, the beefsteak and red cherry tomato plant. Now when I'm seed starting, I make sure I don't use all of my seeds for the seed starting process. I do make sure that I have some left over. You just never know what can happen if I have to direct sow these plants out into the garden. I'll have seeds left over. Now I almost forgot about these bell pepper seeds that I saved last year from just organic yellow and orange bell peppers from the grocery store. So I'm kind of doing an experiment to see if they will give me peppers this year. So now it's time for planting. So I'm going to go ahead and start by filling up the bottom portion of this container with about 3 to 4 inches or so of moistened potting mix. And you don't have to use expensive seed starting mix. You can use just organic potting mix or container mix. So I'm going to start off by planting the orange bell pepper seeds that I took from a grocery store bell pepper. So I have 4 seeds here. You want to sow about 3 or 4 seeds in this size of a container because I'm hoping to get 2 good seedlings growing in here. So if you are using a larger container, you can sow more seeds. If you are using a smaller container like I did with my round 1 of winter sowing, using a small water bottle, you may only want to sow 2 or 3 seeds in there, hoping to get a good seedling to transplant out into your garden. So you can sow your seeds a couple of different ways. You can make planting holes, or you can just lay them right on top of the soil, add more soil on top, and that's what I've done here. Now, once your seeds are planted, you can water them in or not. I have a water bottle here and I can just spray the top, not disrupting the seeds. And then that's it. Now, my first round of winter sowing, I did not water them in. I just placed them outside. We get a pretty good amount of rain or snow, so they did just fine. That watered them in. So now you pretty much just tape the container closed. So just using some duct tape, I'm going to tape the container shut. So now this one is finished, ready to be placed outside. Now you can see you want to leave the lid off. The top needs to be open. That is how this container will receive the moisture from the rain, the snow, whatever is going on outside. So now it's time to do this about 20 more times. So here they are finished. Now let's talk about the advantages to seed starting using the winter sowing method. Now, if you're starting seeds indoors, you have to purchase grow lights. You have to have the space for your seedlings. You have to water those seedlings, and then you have to do a hardening off process of placing the seedlings outside to get exposed to the sun and get used to the sun's rays. So this way you don't have to do any of those. Now, you may have to give some supplemental water if you live in a super dry area. Here, my first round of winter sowing bottles have been outside for almost 2 months and I have not had to water them at all. So we have received enough moisture from rain and snow. Now, with the winter sowing method, you have to be patient. Your seeds will germinate slower and the seedlings will grow slower as well compared to starting your seeds indoors underneath grow lights where you have warmer temperatures and the climate is controlled. And don't get me wrong, I'm a huge fan of starting seeds indoors underneath grow lights. But if you would like to try an inexpensive and low maintenance method of seed starting, you gotta give winter sowing a try. So here we are now out in the garden space here in Kentucky, zone 6, and this is actually the next day. So these bottles have been out here overnight. You can see I just kind of placed them down in this container. I just kind of pushed the soil away, placed the bottles in here, and kind of backfilled the soil against the container so that they will stay upright. They're not going to fall over or get blown over. We get pretty windy here, and they are looking really good. Now you can see I have them in a wide open space. They're going to get the sun they need and the moisture. They're not covered or in a shaded location, so they're looking good. And then over here is my first round of winter sowing. Again, go back and check that video out if you missed it. I also gave a super quick update when my seedlings germinated. So inside of here, my seedlings are growing. Again, be patient because your seedlings will not grow as quickly as they would indoors. I'm still getting really cold temperatures at night, and so these are just kind of slow growing, but when that temperature warms up, these will start to really take off. And guys, make sure you are subscribed to my channel so you don't miss out when I give more updates, and especially when I transplant these out into the garden space. And I'll probably do that after my last frost date. Here in Kentucky, that's at the end of April, but last year we had a late freeze at the beginning of May, and so that will kill your plants. So I'll probably get these out in May. So guys, I thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.